And welcome, Mindsetters, to this session of Grade 11 Learn Extra. We're looking at life science today. I'm Ty. I'm here with Lou. Lou, what are you doing today?
We're doing body plans, so hopefully they're ready and let's give it a go.
All right. So on that note, while Lou makes his way across the board, Mindsetters, as I always say, make sure you get on the page. You know the link, www.facebook.com/learn extra. Make sure you get on the page and let me know if you're lost in it, if you need help, or if you just want to say hi. Because it's always welcome, and we're always glad to have you on the page with us. But on that note, this is where I'm going to hand over to Luke. Luke, take it away.
Thanks, Tal. Hey, guys. Well, this section is quite cool. Now, last week we started doing body plans, and we had a look at specific things. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to do a quick recap so that you can understand what I'm talking about. But before we start, I've just got a slight problem. The problem is I've been trying as hard as I can to learn these words. Now, these words are big, they're huge, and no matter what I do, sometimes they just don't come out right. So I'm going to try to get them right. Hopefully, they come out today. So, Ta, good luck, because I'm going to be asking you as well.
Oh, great. Great.
First thing we're going to have a look at, right, is when we did body plans on last week, Wednesday, right, we had a look at how it is divided. The first thing we did was we had a look how they were divided. You know, you can get certain divisions. For example, you got bilaterally symmetrical, which, of course, if I had a look, if an animal was like that, you could cut it right in half. So half was this side, half was that side. It was bilaterally symmetrical. Now, the next one was radial symmetrical. Right, it's over there. You can cut it in any way you want. It was plain and simple. And then, of course, the last one is asymmetrical, which means you've got no chance on this, in this country or this lifespan, to actually cut this in half. If you have a look at that, you could not cut it in half, right? Now, each one of these things came to a specific phylum. You start looking at certain things, okay? So we look at how in what symmetry they are, right? The next thing we had a look at was if they had a coelom, okay? Which means they were divided into different sections. You got different types of body parts, right? Or different types of body layers, right? You got your single-celled organisms, right? And then you got your things like your diploblastic and your triploblastic, if you can remember. A diploblastic had an ectoderm and an endoderm. And then you got your triploblastic, which had your ectoderm, your mesoderm, and then your endoderm. So just running through this. So hopefully you're remembering this, right? And when we got to a coelom was inside, right? It was between the endoderm and the ectoderm, right? And it had like a membrane around it, okay? And if it doesn't have that, it's an acoelomate, right? If it doesn't have a coelom, sorry. If it does have a coelom, there can be a false coelom, right? And if you have a false coelom, you don't have, if that is the organism, and then you get this piece over here. If this is a coelom, if you don't have a layer over here from the endoderm, which is normally your gut, to the ectoderm, right? They call that a coelomate. They call that a false coelom. And then you get your normal coelomates, which means it's got a layer on the inside, right? This is just simple. I'm just trying to go over it nice and quickly before we get into the proper animals, right? Next thing we had a look at last week was we had a look at if they had a through gut or not. If you don't have a through gut, you would normally eat. I'll do something like that. You've got, the worst way to put it is your mouth and your anus in the same hole. So you would eat in here, right? Absorb all the nutrients and then leave again out of the same hole. If you had a through gut, you have normally like this, you have a mouth and you have an anus. So it goes in there, let's just do that. And this pipe is joined, plain and simple, and the food comes in, gets absorbed, all the nutrients get taken out, and then gets excreted from the bottom, right? That was your through gut. Okay, so now that I've just gone over that very quickly, now we're going to start looking at the animals. Let's start getting into more detail, right? First one we're going to have a look at is your Porphyria. Now, it's a nice big name, right? There it is, Porphyria. These are your sponges. Now, where can I find sponges? right? It's not that difficult. I started last week, I was telling the people that sponges are quite cool. This is where you see these beautiful islands, right? And you go in, you see the sea, it's nice and calm, and you run in and you go look at coral. Now, you know those coral that's there at the bottom, all the different colors? Those are those are normally your sponges. Plain and simple sponges. Now, we need to go into more detail, right? Because these are quite cool. First of all, the first big word we're going to have a look at is sedimentary, right? Sedimentary just means that it's covered with water and it's stuck to the bottom, right? So it's stuck onto the ground. It can't come up for air, right? Stuck on the ground, and it's always underwater. Okay, you can get it in fresh water and in seawater. So you do get them in the fresh water, even though we don't see them as much. They're not as colorful as your seawater, right? Next thing that we have a look at, they are, as I said, they're found in salt water and fresh water. Their body is asymmetrical. Remember? Here we go. Now we start bringing in the other work that I've just come through. Asymmetrical, which means they cannot be cut in any other, that can only be one way. You cannot cut it in half, you cannot cut around it, it's all going to be different. They're not going to be identical. You can't cut it in half, okay? That is asymmetrical. There's that big word. Very nice, okay? It also has 2 body layers. If we have a look at it, 2 body layers, which means it's diploblastic. Okay, and if it's diploblastic, it'll have the 2 layers, which is going to be your epidermis meaning the outside, and the endodermis meaning the inside, the inner layer, which is your endodermis. Plain, simple, not that difficult. Okay, it's actually quite easy, these guys. These guys are not that complicated at all, right? And if we look at it carefully, in between the epidermis and the endodermis, it's got a jelly-like layer, right? It's not cells, it's just like a jelly liquid inside, okay? And it's an important function of it is just to separate the two, but we're going to find out now exactly how this thing eats, okay? And if it eats, it needs that mesoderm in the inside, right, which is a jelly-like substance, okay? So we've got the outer layer containing, this is a nice part, this is a big word. We're getting there, parasites. Okay, now a parasite, where have you heard pore before? Okay, I know all the ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. We normally look at the ladies and they always say, oh, haven't got such good skin, or my pores are blocked, or things like that. Pores meaning what? Do you think you understand?
As in, they're spaces where actually our skin absorbs like air and energy.
So it's something like it. It's not air, but you're getting on the right track. It's holes, small, tiny little holes inside there, right? That is your sporocytes, okay? They allow water in. Now, at the moment, you might not understand what I'm trying to say. I'm going to have a picture just now, and that picture I'm going to explain it all over again, right? So they've got sporocytes, which is quite cool. Then you get your inner layer, which contains conocytes. Okay, there's the next big word. You see, I've been trying hard to get these words right. So, the conocytes, right, those things are quite cool because they've actually got flagella. Now, I'm using big words again. There they are, flagella. Okay, flagella is a huge word. Now, I know I'm leaving you to hang. I just want you to remember these words. I'm going to explain it in 2 minutes, right? The flagella do a specific job. They help with certain things, right? And then, of course, your mesophyll. Remember, between the endodermis and the epidermis, we had that that jelly-like substance, right? That's your mesophyll, and it contains that one, amoebocytes. Your amoebocytes, you've got amoebocytes in you at the moment, okay? Amoebocytes does a specific job. Amoebocytes actually go in and they eat things. So they absorb food by eating it. And how do you think a single cell eats food? Okay, please send it to Ty. Let's see if you can give me an answer. How does amoebocytes eat? How does a single cell take in food? I'm trying not to say the word, right? So they take in food in a specific way. Okay, so let me see if I can go any further. There we go. I didn't want to, hopefully it wasn't there. That's what I was checking. There we go. There we're having a look at your sponges or your coral. They're absolutely gorgeous. And if you had a look at them, you cannot cut them. You cannot cut them in half. You cannot cut them in radial sections, right? And if you have a look at it, there's a nice one. Can you cut it in any way to make the one side look identical to the other? Okay, that's asymmetrical. Can you remember this stuff? This is quite easy. You just got to learn the big words and we'll get it right. Okay. Here we go. This is what I was in. Okay, this here, okay, this piece here, this main thing is actually what we're looking at. This is a sponge. Now, if I go back, okay, and I pull this all the way down to go see where I'm just going to have a look at this. You see this red thing here. Hopefully you'll see this nicely. That piece there. Okay, that piece. If I remove that and I took it here in my hand, right, and I'm holding it, okay, and I put it there against the board. There it is. That's what it looks like. There's normally a cover, and there's that piece that I'm talking about. Can you see it? That piece there is that red piece that I was busy holding. Now, the reason, sorry, I just want to get rid of that because that was just to explain something to you. Now, the reason why I put this up here is to explain in detail what we're going through. Okay, first thing we do, okay, this is an organism that doesn't have a coelom. Now remember, the coelom is a jelly-like bag, okay? Now, this doesn't have it, okay? It doesn't feed through the same holes, right? Okay? It doesn't have a through gut, but it doesn't feed through the same holes, which is quite strange. Remember I said to you, if you don't have a through gut, you have this type of thing where it comes in and back out again. Okay, that means it doesn't have a through gut. But this doesn't have a through gut. It brings things through different pores, but it actually doesn't have, it doesn't absorb in a gut. Okay, this is actually where everything happens. Okay, so let's have a look at it. The spore, or the water and the food and everything like that, comes into this huge sponge through a hole. Can you see that I've made, let me see if I can, it's not going to work nicely. Pink. Pink's always working with this thing. If I look over there, I've put a pore, okay? That pore, I'm going to have a look at it over here. It's the same pore over here. Can you see it? I'm just not going to move it around. The water of whatever's around it has got food, it's got water, it's got everything that it needs. That actually comes into this part of the sponge, right? It goes around this area, does what it needs to do, and then leaves out the top again. Okay, the top, very important, osculum. Okay, osculum's a very important part. It's the part right at the top. That's those holes. If you remember on the last slide we had a look at, see these holes over here? That's the osculum, right? They're the ones where the water ends up. Okay, it keeps pushing out. Okay, then let's go back to that following slide. Now, it goes in this pore and it gets thrown out. Okay, very important. But now, how am I going to get the water inside there? That is a big problem. Now, remember, I spoke to you about certain big words. I spoke about conocytes. Can you remember? And flagella, right? Remember all those big words. Sorry, I'm just hiding. If I take this endoderm over here, this big piece over here, and I take it out, and I'm actually going to put it down here. That's what it looks like. Okay? Now, watch this carefully. You get a pore cell. Here it is. There's your pore cell, right? So the water's going to come in here. Am I right? There we go. You know how it comes in. But we need to make the water come in. Now, if you're sitting in the bath, right, how do you make the water move, right? If you think about it, you're putting hot water. What do? You want the hot water all over the place. How do you make the water move? You turn it, right? So you notice my hands turning, right? That's what this flagella actually does, okay? This thing here, this yellow part here, right? Those things actually move, and they create like what's it called? A flow. It creates a flow, and that flow moves the water. Moves the water out the osculum, right? And as that goes out, water gets sucked in to replace it. Okay? This piece here, this cell over here, this whole thing over here, okay? That there is called your conocytes. That cell there, the conocytes, has flagella, there's the flagellum, and that thing moves and it creates the flow and it pulls the water in. Right. Now, not only does it do that, but if I took this piece, or maybe I'm squashing up here a bit, if I take this one here, okay, and I move it all the way down, I'm going to draw it for you so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, what actually happens is you have a cell, there it is, okay, and on that cell you have a flagellum, there it is, and then you have this special part. Okay, this special part goes over here. It actually looks, I'm going to try and make it round, actually looks like that, and it comes in like that. Okay, hopefully you can see what I'm trying to draw. Okay, this thing here has a special job. Okay, now what I want to do before we go to a break, I want to tell you this. I want you to go to a break. I want you to go find out what it is. I want you to send me the answer. Okay, I want to know what, if I label it, what this thing is. This thing that I just drew over here. What is it and what is it used for? Okay, so I'll see you after the break. Ta?
All right, so Mindsetters, as Lou said, make sure you get on the page, get those questions in, and don't worry, I'll be posting pictures very soon, so make sure that you guys get on the page. But on that note, we'll see you after this page. And welcome, Mindsetters. I hope you had a nice little break there. You went to do whatever you had to do. You went to the bathroom. You went to whatever. You went to go get juice. But make sure that you're back ready with your pens and pads out and ready to make notes. And again, Mindsetters, I want to stress again, make sure that you tell a friend to make sure that they tell a friend. Because right now we're on 16,000 people on the page and we're trying to get to 20. So we can't get there without your help. But on that note, I'm going to hand over to Lou, who's going to continue the show. Take it away.
Thanks, Ta. I had a look. A lot of you have got it right. The first question I asked you was, how do those cells eat? And the answers I got was phagocytosis. I am so impressed. Phagocytosis is the exact way that these guys eat. They engulf their prey, right? They engulf it and they spit it out. Very nice. Now, I had a look. Nobody has come back to me and told me what this is, right? Ta, still nobody?
No, not yet.
Okay, so let me get there. This is a chondrocyte cell, right? This little thing here, flagella, remember it moves and it makes the flow of water so we can get more water in, right? And now this thing, that's cool, okay? That is this. Always a nice way to remember it. Ta, can you tell me what this is?
Collar.
That's it.
Wait, someone
Yeah,
did
did
get
somebody
it.
give it?
Princess, yes.
Princess,
got it.
congratulations. It's a collar. Now, what that does is that forces the food into there so that you can move the food all the way into the mesoderm. And what does the mesoderm do? It has these cells that go through phagocytosis to get all the food that it needs, and we sort it. I was impressed. Very nice. Very, very nice. So that's what these things do. This whole thing, right, is a conocyte. Very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, now, the next one we're going to have a look at. Oh, wait, we need to first check it. It's an acelomate. Sorry, I forgot about this. It's the acelomate. An acelomate, remember, does not have a coelom. A before anything means it does not. Right. Asymmetrical, it is not symmetrical. Acelomate, it does not have a coelom. Right? Very nice. Okay. It is a filter feeder. Okay. It filters out all the things in the ocean and it eats that. Not very difficult. That's what it eats. Remember, I said to you, the pores open into the spongiocele. There we go. Okay. I know I've seen some of the guys asking what it is. Now, the middle of it, exactly what it is. Remember, this middle part of a sponge that we just had a look at, this piece here. Okay. There it is. Spongiocele. Very good. So you guys have been working quite nicely. You've been working very hard. I can see you've been studying, which means you're paying attention in class. It's the best thing in the world, right? Then I mentioned, right, your flagella, which move, that make water move so that we can actually get water in. Okay, there's your chondrocytes, move water around. I mentioned that big word, well, the course, the main man, it is the collar. The collar catches the food particles. Okay, that catches the food particles, passes it down, the food gets ingested by phagocytosis, very nice, and then water leaves through the osculum. Okay, just by going through the picture, I could tell you everything, right? That's what you need to be able to do when it comes to this. Okay, that is what's so special about these things. It's not very difficult. The words are difficult, yes, I'll give you that, but this is not very difficult. Okay, you just keep on going like this and you will get it right. Okay, now this is the body plan of the sponge. Okay, the next one we're going to have a look at, hopefully this is the next one. Yeah, Cnidaria. Okay, now Cnidaria, this is the next level. Now remember, we're going to start off from small and we're going to increase all the time. So we're getting to more complex and more complex animals all the time, right? So your Cnidaria, there it is mostly aquatic. Okay, it's mostly aquatic. It's it's mostly marine. Sorry, not mostly aquatic. Mostly marine, which means it's in the sea. Okay, so we find them in the sea, right? You get the sedimentary, which means stationary. It doesn't move. It stands still, and those things are called. There it is. Your anemones. Okay, you know, Finding Nemo. Remember in the beginning of the show, you had this fish, the father, I don't know what his name was, but in Finding Nemo. But
No one actually knows his father's name.
Jeez, I must remember that. Father's name, well, Nemo's daddy and the wife was in the sea anemones, right? They are this type that we're working with, Cnidaria. Okay, what they do, sorry, is they stand still and they get their food just by standing still, right? The other ones that move, swimming, is your jellyfish. Those nice, fluffy, beautiful, stunning jelly things, right? They're not that stunning when they sting you, let me warn you. Okay, what? They're the most of them can do both. Okay, they can do both. Now, if we have a look at it, the body plan, okay, it's an acoelomate, which means it doesn't have a coelom. So we're starting to get into the rhythm of this. I'm impressed. Okay. Polyp. You've got to remember this one. And Medusa. Now, I'm going to show you where they come from, right? This is where the mouthpiece is. If you have a look at it, have radial symmetry. First of all, there's symmetry and they have their mouthpieces there, okay? They radial symmetry. So if I move this down, just want to move it down to there. Have a look at this, right? You can do it in any way. I know that it does like this, because if I turn that, that's like at a side angle. If you turn it like this, you will get this round circle, and you can move it across like that. And of course, this one, if I wanted to, let me do that, yeah. If I wanted to do that one, it would look something like that. If I look at the top, there we go. That's what these things look like, okay? That's what they look like. And in the front, they would have these funny little squiggly things that look like a flower, right? There we go. So if you had a look at it, did I draw enough? No, I drew way too little. Okay, I must always remember that. Comes down, one up, one more down. Now what that means is I can cut it down there, I can cut it down there, I can cut it any way I want. Okay, there's normally 6 to 8 of those tentacles, but we'll speak about them now, right? So if I have a look at it again, right, there they are. They can be cut in every direction, right? They are radial symmetrical, which means all around. Okay, cool. They are diploblastic, which means they have an outer layer and an inner layer, right? Okay, same thing. These are all things that you are getting used to, right? And it's a jelly-like liquid in between it again, the same as the sponges, okay? But now we're going to start getting more complex, right? So all we know now, right, is we have the ones that are stationary, right, and the ones that can swim, right? We know that they they are diploblastic. They do not have a coelom, right? Okay, and I can tell you now, it's still early, so we don't have a gut. We don't have a through gut. Okay, let's see how it goes from here. They have a single digestive opening. Okay, remember I showed you that diagram at the back over here? This one. There it is. Single opening. Food comes in, food goes out. There we go. Okay. They have a single opening, which means they do not have a through gut. And that opening, if we're having a look at the polyp, it will normally be by the polyp, right? Or if we're having a look at the Medusa, it's underneath the Medusa. The Medusa would be your jellyfish. You know, your jellyfish is like that. It would come in. There would be your mouthpiece. I'm just going to do that. And it's over there. And there we go. And then you've got the tentacles coming down, right? That would be your jellyfish. Oh, that's terrible over there, right? That is your jellyfish. And then you've got your other one, which I drew up here. There it is. Okay. This one can come in. It's at the top of it, right? See, there are the two. Okay. That is your polyp. That is your Medusa. Okay. Very nice. Okay. Now, they're normally surrounded by 6 to 8 tentacles. Remember the 10 tentacles are over here. This is a tentacle. Remember if I showed you like that? You got the thing that looks like a flower. Those are the tentacles, right? And the tentacles are very important because they help it feed. They actually catch the prey. They see where it's dangerous. They have a look at anything like that, right? Now, before we have a look at how in detail we can go with the tentacles, we have to look at what's just inside the mouth, right? There's this bag of gas, right? There it is, okay? Gastrovascular cavity, right? It's your coelenteron. It's not a coelom, it's a coelenteron. Another big word, okay? Remember, a coelom is a fluid-filled cavity. This one has got gas. See the gas there? It's got a gas inside it. Okay. Now, that there is just behind the mouth part. Just behind the mouth part. Okay. We're not looking at why it's there or what it does there. You just have to remember that you get your coelenteron, that is a gas bag that's just behind the mouthpiece. Okay. Now, the coelenteron acts as a hydroskeleton. Okay, a hydroskeleton. That is a big word to look at. If I have a look at a hydroskeleton, if I have pressure in a balloon, you know this balloon. If I had a balloon and I made it out of thick rubber, right, and I put it on top of a car, well, underneath the car, right, and I blew this thing up. Jumping castle is a good way of looking at it. But as you blow it up, do you feel how hard it becomes? Okay, now that is an air-filled cavity, which makes it nice and hard. Now what they do, okay, they throw water in there, and if there's water in there, it becomes a little bit more harder. I mean, throwing a water balloon is so much easier than throwing a normal balloon. Am I right, Ta?
Definitely, because it actually has weight instead of just flying away.
Exactly. And it's got this buoyancy, and it feels like there's something in there, right? That there is the water, and they use that as a skeleton. You know, like we have our bones on the inside, they have water. That water gives them that pop-out feeling and that nice and strong feeling. That is called your hydroskeleton. There it is, hydroskeleton. Okay, now that bag, what it actually does is it fills up and it actually pushes the water, right, to make it nice and strong and hard. Okay, so that is the hydroskeleton. Okay, and let's look at it. The ectodermal, there it is, the ectodermal cells digest, the endodermal cells digest food, and the ectodermal cells detect food or danger. Okay, so they've got these funny little things sticking out like this, right? Those 10 tentacles, and if you go near them, it's going to come in, or if it's got food, it's going to catch the fish and bring the fish into the hole, right? So it can be eaten. So that's what these tentacles are like, these tentacles, the ectodermal cells, and the endodermal cells digest food, plain and simple. Now, what I've done is I've explained what these cells are first, and now I'm going to start giving you the name, okay? The first name, let me bring it up here so we can actually have a look at it. Okay, there is the first name, nido cells, okay? They are used for defense and for capturing prey. That ectodermal cells that bring everything into that hole, so it catches the stuff and it brings it in. There's it, write it down, do what you need, because it's an important word, okay? You must be able to label it. Very, very important. The next one is your nematocytes, okay? The The nematocytes, sorry, I'm getting there. The nematocytes, they are stinging cells. Now, the stinging cells, they're on the tip. Now, what that actually does is it actually paralyzes prey, or it does something bad. Stinging is quite sore. I mean, you think of, it stings. If you've ever been stung by a blue bottle, if you've ever been stung by a jellyfish, right? It stings. Trust me. I know I was stung. My son has been stung. My wife has been stung, right? It stings a hell of a lot, okay? So that stinging comes from these specific cells, and they are on the tips. Now, if you look at, it was also Finding Nemo, where they went through those huge things of jellyfish, right? And poor little Dory got attacked by them. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Dory gets stung and she passes out. The clownfish didn't, though. Now, that's what those things do. What it does is it stings them, so they don't know where they are, they're disorientated, they pass out, and then they pick them up and they swallow them. Quite terrible, I think.
Sounds
Stung to death. Stung to death.
Doesn't sound like fun. Doesn't sound like a great weekend. No.
Not at all. I agree with you there totally. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, before I carry on, because that is Nadera finish, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to a break, and then we're going to take it from there to the next one. Ta?
All right, so on that note, mindsetters, while we're taking a little bit of a break, I'm going to make sure that I get all these posts up. There's a lot of diagrams, so it's some nice fun things for you guys to look at. But on that note, we're going to see you after this break. And welcome back, Mindsetters. Hope you had a nice little break there. You went and did whatever you had to do. You went to go get some juice, answer the phone, speak to mom, talk to your brother. Whatever you had to do now needs to stop so you can pay attention. Have your pen and pads out and get ready to make notes. On that note, I'm going to hand it over to Lou. Take it away.
You back. Let's have a look at this. I know that I'm going through this, but there's so much of things to do and so many things to get through that what I'm doing is we're actually going over certain things that's going to help you get through it. Okay, so let me slow down a bit and we'll take it from there. The next little section we're going to look, the next phylum we're going to have a look at is beautiful. Okay, I think they are stunning. Just have a look at that. Right? There's some beautiful, I put pictures on because me, I look at pictures and I remember. Ta, what do you think?
Same thing, yeah. I'm a graphic designer, so pictures work great for me.
Stunning. Okay, pictures do it for me. So now, let's have a look. There it is, and let me move it up. Let's just have a look how gorgeous, should I say. To me, that's gorgeous. Have a look at what you see. Except for this piece. This one is just, he popped in for a visit, right? There we go. Okay, let's carry on. Look how beautiful some of these things are. Aren't they stunning? This here are flatworms. They're worms. They flat worms, which is actually quite nice. Now, flatworms, the name of them, platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes, that's what they are. They are flat worms, right? Now, a flatworm, there's two types. You get your free living, which means they can live by themselves, and you've got the ones that are parasites. Okay? Parasites and free living. Now, between the two of them, there's something very special about the one and something very special about the other. Okay, now, let's have a look at it. They are either aquatic or terrestrial, which means they live on land or in water. Okay? It's quite nice. Okay? The body plan of them is bisymmetrical. Okay? Remember, if I had a look at it, right? There we go. Okay? They are bisymmetrical. So let me move it a little bit more down. They can be cut, oh, wrong way. They can be cut in half down the middle. That wasn't very nice. Let's get yellow. Let's see if that works. Down the middle, very nicely, and they can be in half. Right. So that is bisymmetrical. Have you noticed this is the first time we've got to bisymmetrical? We started with asymmetrical, then we went to radial symmetrical, and now we're going to bisymmetrical. Okay, so the more up of complexity we go, the more we get to bisymmetrical. Now, if we go back to where we came from. Okay, they are bisymmetrical. There it is. Okay, they have a definite anterior end due to cephalization. Cephalization. Now, that explains this whole thing, but it doesn't work for me. This word here is a nice big word. They can ask you to define it all the time. Okay? Cephalization. Not civilization. Cephalization. Now, cephalization means that it's got not all, but it's got a big joint. As it says here, it's an accumulation of sense organs, right? So we're looking at an accumulation to make a brain. Okay, so if we make a brain, right, we cephalization. Okay, it's called cephalization, just to make a brain. It's an accumulation of sense organs. And this is where we find the first type of cephalization. So the formation of a brain. Okay, which is very nice. This is quite cool. Okay, have a look at this. First time we're going to see that one. Okay, triploblastic. Triploblastic. Okay, triploblastic, which means it's got an endoderm, a proper mesoderm, and was it endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm? Okay, I don't know if I said endo first, but they've got all three. Okay, which is nice. Next thing is they have a poorly, there it is, the parasites of it have a poorly developed digestive system. Okay, now if you look at this worm, we start looking, this is completely different to everything else we've done. Everything was acelomate, okay? They were a different type of symmetry, yes, okay? And they didn't have a through gut. This is the first animal with a through gut. In other words, if you have a look at it, there's the worm, okay? It had a mouth over there, and it had an anus over there, and it was joined right down the middle with a pipe. So it would take its food in there, and it would get rid of its food around the back. Okay, so it's got a through gut. It's the first time we see a through gut. The first time we see triploblastic animal. Okay, it is the first time we see bilateral symmetry. So this is where it all starts. Okay, which is nice. The parasitic worm does not have a well-developed through gut or digestive system. Can anybody tell me why? Send it to Ty. Let me see if I can get this right. Okay? I need to know why they have a poorly developed digestive tract. Okay? Now, the free-living worms, I want to move this up so we can see it. The free-living will have a well-developed, branched digestive tract. Free-living, branched digestive tract. So what that means is if we have a worm, I'm going to make it nice and big. If we have a worm over there, okay, it has a mouth over there, comes out, there's the mouth, remember, it's a through gut, and it'll start branching out all over the place, just to start getting, now we need to know why it does that. Okay, so it starts branching out, and this one will also come up and down, and there we go. And why would it have that? Now remember, I'm going to leave it there. It goes all the way to the end, okay? Part of the through gut. So it branches out this gut, okay? Now, it doesn't have, this thing doesn't have, how do I say it, a nice transporting system inside their body, so like a blood system. Okay, so what it does is it sends the food to there, and it goes up and it gets given to the cells, and then it goes further on. So it actually starts giving the cells all its food. It doesn't have a little stomach over here and a small intestine that absorbs everything and then sends it around. Okay, so it doesn't have that. So it needs this through gut to actually branch off all over the place to actually get it right. Okay, Ta, anybody giving me an answer?
So far, I'm still scanning, kind of multitasking between posting and watching the page.
Sorry, guys.
But I'm working on it, guys.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on and I'm going to come back to that one. Should I? Or should I give them an answer?
I think you should give them an answer.
I think I should give you an answer. There we go. Now, the reason why they have a poorly developed digestive tract is because if they are a parasite, it means it's feeding off already digested food. So think about it. You've eaten the food, it gets digested, and then they suck on you, and they get the food out of the blood and all of that. Or it's digested, the enzymes are involved, everything's there, and they just have to take it in, and there it is. Plain and simple. So they've got a poorly developed digestive system, right? They have to have a more complex one because they've got to digest their own food. Okay, so there's a nice way of looking at it. Parasitic, poorly digestive system. The free-living ones, they have a nice digestive system. Okay, now, I want to see, I can never remember what's on next. Wait, too much. There we go. The platyhelminthes, okay, what I did was this, is the flatworm. Okay, so this flatworm, the parasitic flatworm, actually has spikes and claws on the edge of its mouth. Spikes, claws, and suckers. Because it actually has to grab on and hold on for dear life and suck everything dry, right? Now, that is harsh. This type of worm also lives inside its host. It's an internal parasite, okay? Lives inside the host, okay? Now, Ty's going to kill me just now, but I've got some beautiful pictures of flatworms, which I know people are going to love, right? So they have hooks and suckers, right? No blood system for transport, as I was mentioning. So they need to have that parts coming all over the place. Obtains the digestive food from the host. Remember I said, gets all its food from the hosts, right? Now, if it gets everything from there, it doesn't need a well-developed digestive system, as you were saying, right? Now, the normal one, the free-living flatworm has a good digestive tract. It gets food for itself, and it does everything. Now, in the beginning, I said to you the problem with this one is it is a coelomate. Okay, it does not have a coelom. Now, what that means is, I know it's a flatworm, so I'm going to do that, right? Okay. Now, over here, this piece here, okay, it goes like that, and it goes in there. And then you've got the digestive tract on the inside. Okay, now, that is what it looks like. This is a false coelom. Okay, it does not have a proper coelom, which is quite. It's got a fluid filled. On the outside, but it doesn't have that lining. Remember, I said to you, if you are a proper coelomate, right, you've got this extra lining on the inside. Okay, to stop it on the endoderm, and it'll have another one here. Okay, to create that bag that's fluid filled. Right? That's what it does. So it doesn't have that, even though it has got a coelom, but it's a false coelom. Okay? Here we go. This is what I'm cool about. Now, let's look here. See this part here. Let me get some pink going. I did have pink. Look at this. Check how cool those claws are. It has bitey claws, and it grabs you, and it sucks on you, and it's vicious. Right? And then you keep on going more down. There's that one again. Remember I showed you this when I said it crawled in from the middle of nowhere. Look at these things over here. Right? Just have a look at those spikes. That actually sticks into you. It sticks and it grabs you and it goes into you. That there is your tapeworm. Right? Your tapeworm is a flatworm. It goes into your intestines and it grabs onto your intestines and it sucks and it hooks itself in and it's going nowhere. Hey, Ty, can you imagine?
Yes, I can probably imagine that would be quite excruciating over time.
Yeah, it's not nice. Now, have a look at this.
Are we getting to those lovely pictures?
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Whoo! Look at those babies. Look, they get pulled out of legs. Check at this. There's a flatworm. Hey? There's another one right out of his foot. Look how long these things are. It's amazing. Hey? There's another one. Check. He's wrapped it around a pencil, and it gets pulled out of that hole. Hey? That is disgusting, but beautiful. Hey, what do you think?
I'm not sure about beautiful. Disgusting, yes, but not beautiful. I'm sure our producers in the back just like,
no.
Throw up right now.
Another nice one. I think this is the last picture. Yes. Look at that. There it is. Look at this area over here. I don't know if you can see it that clearly, but I'm going to go around it, right, in pink. There it is. There's the worm. Looks like this.
Great.
Oh, in the eye. Can you imagine? Woo! That looks beautiful. Hey, what do you think? I love things like this. This just drives me over the wall. This makes me all... Ooh, must be sore though. Can you imagine having one of those?
It would be probably quite excruciating, I'm sure.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's go to the nice worms, right? The annelida. These are segmented worms, or your roundworms, okay? They're segmented, okay? So we had a look at the flatworms, and now we're going to have a look at the roundworms. Now, your roundworms, these are also quite pretty, right? All your worms are pretty. I don't see why there's a problem with worms. Worms are quite cute and quite nice and beautiful colors, and right? Now, the colors are actually there for a reason, either for camouflage or to get away from predators or something like that. But they're there for a reason, right? Look at that. How gorgeous is that? Beautiful, right? Worms are a boy's best friend. I'm sure little boys, girls, you hate them. Some girls can take them and they put the boys to shame, which I've actually noticed quite a few times now.
That's quite
The girls are showing the boys how it's done, right? And then, of course, you all know what that one is. That is your earthworm, right? Your earthworm is a segmented worm, right? Now, let's have a look at it, okay? Your annelida, very simple. Most popular known as, they're most probably found in marine worms, okay? They're also land animals. You've got your leech and you've got your earthworm. But now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go through this quickly. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the leech, because the leech is quite cool, right? And then, I'm going to hand it over, and I will catch this up. I will do it again from annelida from next week, okay? Because there's not much time left. So, what I'm going to do is, the body plan, it is segmented. That's why it's called the flatworms or the segmented worms, right? Okay, it is bilaterally symmetry. It's got a coelom. I'll explain why it's got a coelom next time. Okay, it's got a through gut, right? It's got a hydroskeleton, and that's where I'm going to leave it for now. Now, this is quite cool. It's just extra information. You never know when you're going to need it. Okay, well, you've noticed that I put here leeches. Let me get a pen here. A leech. There it is, the leeches. Now, leeches are those things that suck on your leg when you go into rivers and dams, right? Now, in the old days, like ancient years, the dark ages and all of that, did you know this, Tom? That they used to leech people, right? If you were sick, they'd stick leeches on you, and those leeches would suck out your blood, and it would make you feel better. So if you were perspiring, if you were doing anything, these leeches would suck you dry, right? Well, they wouldn't suck you dry, but they'd take out the bad blood. Right? And then they find out people used to start dying from that because they used to take too much blood out, right? Which is never a good thing. Okay? Taking too much blood out. So they threw it out they said, no, this is rubbish, don't ever use it, right? But in 1992, they figured out something quite cool, which is amazing. It actually happens in the UK at the moment, and there's a couple of other places. We don't use it in South Africa yet. But you know all these people that cut off their hands and their fingers and their toes and whatever like that, or ears, right? What actually happens is the doctors can't sew those what do you call it, the veins and arteries on properly. So what they do is they stick the finger on, okay, and they actually have the leeches bite around it because it's got to stop the body from bleeding, if you get what I'm trying to say. It makes the body bleed. Right? And they stick on the finger, they put the leeches on, and the leeches help that finger survive, which is unbelievable. So now we can start using leeches again in reconstructive surgery.
Isn't that called, they have this thing called anticoagulant.
That's it, anticoagulant. That one, anticoagulant, right? So that thing actually helps reconnect your fingers, which is quite cool. It's amazing what a leech can do when if you go into a river and come out, you see these little worms on you, you freak out and you go crazy. The best way to take it off, salt water. They do not like salt water.
Sort of like snails.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this next time, okay? And I'll see you next week, Wednesday. Ta.
Yes. On that note, mindset is I hope you had a blast, minus the being grossed out by those pictures, because I've got a pretty strong stomach. I'm not sure about you, but I thought it was very fascinating. But on that note, I want to say, Mindsetters, thank you again for joining us. Make sure you get on the page, chat to us, let us know what you think. But this is me, Ty, signing out, saying cheers and see you next time.